All right, good evening, folks. I'd like to call the Township of Lopatcong special meeting for May 17th, 2023 to order. I would ask that everyone bow their head for a moment of silence, please. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided indicating the time and place of the meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 by advertising a notice in the Star Ledger and the Express Times of Warren County Zone and by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Roll call, please.
Councilman Belcaro.
Here.
Councilman McQuaid. Councilman Polito.
Here.
Council President Wright.
Here.
Mayor Mancucci.
Here. Any public comment on agenda items only?
We need a motion to come out of executive.
Yeah, I do need a motion to come out of executive.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Seeing none, we'll go to old business. It's the minutes to approve the April 5th, 2023 executive and regular session minutes. You've all had a chance to take a look at them. If there are any questions, comments, additions, deletions? Hearing and seeing none, take a motion on that.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Belcaro.
Yes.
Councilman Polito.
Yes.
Council President Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Mancucci.
Yes. Under new business, number one is a resolution authorizing the application for the Lead Grant Assistance Program. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Councilman Belcaro.
Yes.
Councilman Polito.
Yes.
Council President Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Mancucci.
Yes. Number two is authorize the final payment to Top Line Construction in the amount of $99,293.36.
I'm recommending that payment as well as the approval of the change order. Mayor, all the work is done, it's in order. And it's just going to be subject to the contractor signing the change order, providing the appropriate payroll information to the municipality.
All right. Based on Paul's recommendation, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Councilman Belcaro.
Yes.
Councilman Polito.
Yes.
Council President Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Mancucci.
Yes. Number three, Lopat Municipal Park Master Project Design Plans. Paul?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members and members of the public. Well, my colleagues, Tim Burke and Derek Jordan, are setting up to present be in a position to present the drawings to you and the public tonight. I just want to give you all, as well as the public, just some background as to why we're here and how we got here tonight. Tonight's meeting is really the first step in moving forward with the improvements that were recommended in the December 2022 master plan that was prepared on behalf of the municipality by Simon and Collins last year. And this is a document that's really the driving document or the guiding document for the redevelopment of Lopatcong Park. The goal tonight is to present the plans that have been prepared following an April 21st, 2023 fact-finding session where representatives of my office, including Tim and Derek and myself, met with municipal representatives to try to get some information as to what types of programs the municipality would like to house in the various buildings that are going to be developed as part of this redevelopment of the park. As you may recall, and this is on page 45 of the December 2022 master plan that was prepared by Simon Collins, there's 5 different structures that are proposed as part of the redevelopment of the park. Specifically, there's going to be a new pool building that is going to be built as part of the redevelopment of the park. There's an open air pavilion that is proposed as part of the redevelopment of the park. A pavilion building with kitchens and restrooms to replace the one that currently exists near the rally point. A field house, which will replace the building by the football field. And lastly, a concession stand, which will be located in the easterly and newer area of the park, where all the baseball fields and soccer fields are located. And that particular structure is a long-term goal. When I prepared the plans for that section of the park back in 2003, we had actually reserved an area for the concession stand at that time. So finally, we're going to be looking to get that particular work going. Just as an aside here, before I give some history on this whole effort, there are other elements to the park that are going to be part of the redevelopment. utilities, different recreational facilities, things that are like. Our office is in the process of surveying the park, about 60 acres of the park right now, to give us the topographic information to be able to design site improvements and look at where to be sited and how they're going to be designed. We anticipate by the end of the month that we will have a topographic map for that 60-acre area. Ultimately, we'll probably do some property line surveying. There was a survey of the newer part of the park back in 2003, 2004. The older part of the park with the pool has never been surveyed. We don't have a boundary survey, so that's going to be a goal of this program, is to pin down where the property lines are located. With that being said, just to give yourself and the public a little bit of background, master plan was prepared for the park to evaluate its condition and really determine what type of improvements and upgrades would be done to the park in the future. That was a very comprehensive effort. It took place over an 8-month period in 2022. There was a considerable amount of public involvement with that. There were many meetings between Simone Collins and Township representatives during the course of the process to exchange information and get feedback. There were 3 public meetings that took place, and just for the record, there was a meeting on June 7, 2022. There were 80 attendees at that particular meeting. There was another meeting on September 27, 2022. There were 50 attendees at that particular meeting. And then at the September 7th, 2022 council meeting, Simone Collins made a presentation to the town council. Of course, there's always members of the public at these council meetings. The public was able to listen in and participate in that particular effort. In addition to that, Simone Collins created a public opinion survey that was uploaded on April 28th, 2022. And that particular public opinion survey was in place and was able to be responded to over a 5-month period. It ended in late September of 2022. The municipality received 737 completed surveys as a result of that, which provided a lot of insight and input from our residents as to what they would like to see in the way of upgrades at the park. Lastly, before I turn it over to Tim, who's a registered architect, and Derek, who's a professional engineer like myself, who has expertise in larger and more complicated projects. Derek was involved with the $147 million Toms River Schools program, which is about to come to an end. That had a variety of construction, buildings, energy improvements, parking lots, roadways, recreation improvements, just for the record. But just before I get them going with their presentation, just to let you know, the park master plan, in addition to the buildings, addressed a lot of different things. It was very comprehensive. It looked at connectivity and thoroughfares, how we were going to connect the park in a better way to the outside and also within. It addressed utilities. We still have some septic systems within the park complex that are really on their last legs. We do have utilities within the park, and the intent is to extend those particular facilities as part of some of these upgrades, including the building construction in the northerly portion of the pool area of the site, to be able to serve those particular buildings. Obviously, we have the new structures that I just summarized for you. There are recreation facility and amenity construction. There's environmental enhancements, including new landscaping and stormwater improvements. And lastly, there was a component of the report that dealt with future maintenance and programming in the park. So that's really what was the extensive amount of work that this governing body did with Simone Collins and our office back in 2022. It was great work. It really led to a nice document. Again, this is the first step moving forward to try to allow for the redevelopment of the park, the upgrade of the park, and we're going to be presenting specifically some of the improvements with the way of structures tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Tim and Derek so they can present what we've come up with so far. So thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Gentlemen, you're up.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. We're going to be talking about the results of the architectural investigation into the...
They're set up fine for me. I'm more interested, the public would really have a look at it more than myself. I've seen a lot of this.
I'm sorry, I keep giving you and pulling it away from you.
Well, I have some extra ones over here.
Can I hand these out to the
Absolutely.
public first?
The focus of our team following our fact-finding mission was to come up with a unifying principle that allows each of the buildings in order to have proper context and seem like it's part of one park. We began initially with the bathhouse complex, given that it's one of the premier features of the existing park, and we wanted to create that as a focus. At the entrance to it, we, utilizing the post and beam heavy timber entrance, we created a very prominent entrance that allows and creates an open, or very welcoming atmosphere as people enter into the existing facility. The bathhouse is equipped with a community party room, locker rooms for both men and women, men's and women's facilities for associated with party, catering, kitchen, in addition to the lifeguard, the first aid stations, and gatehouse in order to protect all of the community residents coming through and utilizing the pools. The rear of the building reflects that main timber entry as it pulls through the building. You have a large 10-foot corridor that takes you from the entrance to the parking lot into the pool area, and there's a covered porch off the back that allows for independent seating in and around those areas. Moving on to
Tim, just one thing I wanted to add. One of the things with respect to the pool building that's been incorporated is the filter and equipment room.
Thank you.
Right now, we have a completely separate building, and the plan is to not have a separate building, but have that incorporated into the pool building itself.
Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate it. The next building is the field house. Currently, it's a one-story masonry building with a second floor storage area. We want to maintain that flexibility that the town currently has by providing a mezzanine, but it's built into the roof. So it doesn't appear as if it's a two-story building, when in fact it is more or less a two-story building. So you have the additional storage above the toilet rooms, so that any equipment coming from the football field will be well stored. Currently, we have in the plan a mezzanine lift that allows you to get the material up as well as the stairs. So there's plenty of access in order to get larger pieces of equipment up into the mezzanine space. The larger building for the field house also includes a meeting room for the teams, an independent weight room, toilet rooms, and also a concession area. In order to provide that additional space for the concession area, we also extended the covered porch along the face of the building. So what you see now in this rendering is what is facing the football fields. So it creates a very warm and inviting aesthetic, maintaining the characteristics that was originally developed in the pool house, and just working to carry that all the way through. The next building. The next building in the overall program is part of the overall plaza area. One of the features of the plaza area was a four-season pavilion. And we were thinking, or based on a conversation with the town a few weeks ago, wanted to really make it into an area that could be utilized by residents year-round. And also, given its proximity to the open plaza, tree area, and then the open-air pavilion, creates an opportunity for hosting weddings there, larger family events, and then wanted to focus the glass towards the north where the more prominent views are. So as you're entering into that banquet hall space, you've got a large glass that's projecting out onto the north for the view. And then off to the left, you have an open covered area that has that kind of timber feel. So if you have a wedding, they can enter in, host dinner, and then move on to dinner and dancing outside afterwards. Now, weddings certainly aren't going to be the only thing, but the intent was to give the maximum flexibility to the town in order to maximize the opportunity for utilizing this space, given its association with the plaza area. Also incorporating the plaza as part of the original master plan was an accessible playground. The intent is to have this as kind of a larger overall function, and that each of the components of the building would end up falling and working together as a whole.
Now, a lot of this building, as far as the exterior and the maintenance of it, is it like going to be a hardy plant kind of thing to be putting on there?
That would be the proposal. There would be some heavy timbers that create the main portions of the structure, but a majority we would want to have as a more durable and lower maintenance product.
Okay.
And as you'll see on each of the buildings, we do also include a stone water table that varies between each of the buildings, anywhere from 2 feet to 3 feet above finished grade in order to provide some of that overall character that's associated with it. Part of the open air plaza is the plaza is an open air pavilion. It's a simple structure, but incorporated into that open plaza creates the dynamic for it being utilized for both an independent structure for housing picnics of approximately 20 people, or tied to an event that's associated with the Four Seasons Pavilion. And finally, the final building is just the concession stand that's associated with quad baseball fields over at the end. The intent is to have the open concession area covered to allow for picnic tables underneath. Concession stand opens undercover so that all residents are protected as they're using the facility. And then, again, maintaining the overall character and the aesthetic that has been developed throughout the rest of the building, we were able to pull this together and make sure that the overall project had a unifying look and feel.
Did we put bathrooms in it?
Yes, there are bathrooms. So, point of clarification. So in the field house and in the concession, there are restrooms that are directly accessible from the exterior so that they can be used by those that are utilizing the fields. In the field house, there are toilet rooms that are dedicated to the field house. So when a team is in there having meetings or utilizing the weight rooms, they can have an independent toilet rooms that they're using as well.
All right.
Any questions?
Well, we did address the road also going up there behind the existing field house, right?
Yes,
That's all been, we got a drainage plan for that?
there will be.
Yeah.
Once we get the topography, we'll be able to figure that all out.
Gentlemen? Questions? No? Sounds great. Comments? It all looks good.
Looks great. How long would a project take, something like this, from start to finish?
Depends on how you wanted to handle the project. If it was broken out into phases, it can extend over a few
Right.
years. If it was all going out under one contract,
Probably a year to year and a half to get through all the construction.
So 2 years.
Yeah, probably two
If you do the
years.
whole project together, you do the phases, obviously.
It can be more, but
Right,
it's a sizable project. It'll take some time, but
right, exactly.
I, for one, would just rather have it all done at once than have it dug up every year for 4 or 5 years, but that's just my opinion. So.
well, the strength in order to handle it that way is you're getting one contractor. It's a healthy project that you're going to go at it. They're going to go after it, and you have some higher levels of competition there.
and even then, under one contract with one bidder, they probably wouldn't come and demo all the existing facilities at once. There'd still be a stage
Right.
process, but it would.
Yeah, I don't want to shut it down, but yeah.
Right, exactly, and we can work with the contractor and even put that in the upfront bid documents to stage things, so that we can avoid if something's gotta be used, that can start at the end of a football season or something like that. It's very easy to do.
What would be the first one to tackle? Pool.
Paul,
Right?
Yeah, the pool house. That's your entrance into the whole
Right.
facility. You do that first and it's gonna start to open up your site for you right away.
there's different ways that this can be bid. We can bid all the buildings as one contract and some minimal site work, and then we can have a site contract with all the utilities and the grading and everything, and the paving. That would be bid at the same time, and these parties would be working concurrent. I've seen that before. It's a detail that we have to work out.
Yeah, we have to,
And determine. So it can be one contract, or a general contractor will come in and do all the buildings or all the site work, or it could be somebody doing the buildings and then somebody doing the site work.
right,
And
and
there
that's
has to be
something,
coordination
right,
between the two.
to be determined.
Yeah, I can tell you, like up in Alamucci Township, they had a very significant firehouse expansion. And there were actually 3 projects, and they had the building, they had all the site work, parking lots, detention bases, utilities, and then they had an emergency generator. So the decision was made to break into the 3 contracts, but we bid them all at the same time. We had language where all the contractors had to work together. We had meetings every month with all 3 contractors as we went along to make sure there was coordination during the whole process. And it turned out very, very successful. We were very fortunate going through that. So we'll have to discuss that and make that determination how we're going to go.
If this is decided to move ahead with this project, what's the earliest can this be started? Will the pool be ready for next summer '24?
I don't think so, no.
No.
I think we're looking 25.
What, '25?
By the time you got the design done and the bid done,
Right.
you'd be into next year, it'd be almost summer already next year, if not the summer,
Okay.
so. And that, again, that's something when you schedule and you're working on what buildings, you can order them differently to, like I said, to avoid seasons that you want them in use, but yeah, next summer, we want to be almost done with design at this point.
All right, and then start the project,
Yeah,
and have the pool ready to open for 2025.
for summer 2020.
So the longer we wait, the longer the opening could be delayed.
Yeah.
Right, it's common sense.
Easily slip, yes.
And based
And we
on,
would like to have a full season of it, obviously.
based on what I've seen and what I know, I'm gonna tell you right now, 25 is optimistic. So,
And a lot of things have to fall in place for
Well, yeah.
25. It
Right.
could easily be
I mean, let's just
26.
be, I don't wanna give anybody any false hopes. It is what it is, and I'd rather be real with you than,
And the mayor's correct, we go out to bid and we can get a bunch of bad prices. And all of a sudden, we're reeling, and it takes us a few months to determine what adjustments we want to make and go back out to bid.
And
That type of stuff happens, so.
to go back and forth.
we need to look no further than our neighbors in Phillipsburg with their pool. I don't know how long it's been going on, but it's been 3-4 years, I believe.
And things are starting to get better, but there still are a lot of supply chain issues, and the contractors should know what the issues are, but we're still having problems getting parts and pieces to be able to complete projects, so that can create a lot of delays.
Okay.
Before I let Kim speak to the finances of it, I will just tell you this, you hear, that, there's not gonna be any tax increase, and you're probably going, yeah, okay, right. And I wouldn't blame you for saying that. However, as many of you know, for 20 years, I worked for the Phillipsburg School District, and I was around when the new high school was opened up. They passed an $8.3 million referendum over in Phillipsburg with no tax increase, and the way they did that was, there was $435,000 put out for rental of the old Journal of Commerce building, which the community college now owns. So that was already money in their budget. The year the high school opened up, the stadium came off the books. That was $250,000. So that was money that was already in their budget. So if you're looking at 435 and 250, that's $685,000 that you could throw toward an $8.3 million referendum. It was money already in the budget, so there was no tax increase. And Kim can explain it here, but we've had tax appeals and whatnot in this township, $725,000 tax appeal, which we paid out over 5 years, and this is the 5th year of that. So that's money that's already in our budget that won't have to be there next year that we could throw towards this, because, not that there won't be other tax appeals, but that was a big one. And again, like warehouses or not, they're a big tax rateable, so there is some money coming in, but I don't think it's as bad as it looks. I've lived here my whole life. I know that pool was a huge thing when it opened up, but it was 1967. It's not 1967 anymore, and the times have definitely changed. But I was on council under Mayor Steinhardt when we made the park bigger back in 2006. As Paul said, that all started around 2003. But one of the comments that I've heard through the years is just how nice the park is and how the walking trail, it's a great place. It really is. I mean, at one point, a few years ago, I'm sitting on the wall there at the Rally Point listening to some music. The pavilion was rented at that time. There was Aqua Zumba in the pool. I think there were movies at the park a little later that night. And there were people walking around. There was a softball game going on. That's really what it's all about. Is to have a nice recreational facility that multiple people can use. Obviously, we want to expand our playground thing here for the kids. So it's kind of where we're heading. I'm excited about it. As many of you know, I'm not running again this year, so I won't be here for all the final decisions. But hopefully, the good Lord will give me some life that I can see this through to its end. So anyway, that's my spiel. Kim?
Okay, and I just want to make a comment too, when you're seeing all this, got to keep in mind that the buildings are there to maximize revenues coming in, because we want to make sure that, this is generating some substantial revenues to offset any costs that we do have. Now, get to the financing. We're looking at $15 million debt, I could say, whether we go permanent financing or we do temporary financing in the form of bond anticipation notes. We're looking for bond counsel to give us a useful life. If it's 25 years with the buildings, bless you, we probably will opt to look out and go serial bonds. Our current debt with serial bonds or permanent financing, it gets paid off in 2027. So that frees us up to put this in there, in that spot. If we go temporary financing, we have 3 years, and after the third year, we pay interest all along for the 3 years, and then the fourth year, we'd have to do a principal payment plus interest. But at that point too, we may decide to convert it to serial bonds. When we did our projections, the interest rate was projected at 4.25%. Right now, with temporary and permanent financing, it's under 4. So that will help us to decide which way we're going. What else do you want me to say?
One thing I do want to mention on the back end of things, as you well know, the interest rates are going up. So the money that we have in the bank is generating more interest than we would have gotten last year or the year before. So everything's kind of relevant. You may pay more to borrow, but we're getting some money on the back end that we didn't get. I do remember years ago, we actually garnered $235,000 one year, just in interest alone. But that was back through, I want to say 2005, 6, somewhere in there. So we're getting some on the back end too. So I don't think it's as bad as it may appear. You hear $50 million, like,
But yeah, it's paid over
so-
time, and also we use open space money, close to $260,000 every year to offset our permanent financing. So that will get plugged into here as well.
It's really the only big recreational area we have in the township. We do have other ball fields, Delaware Park, Morris Park, out behind the school. Obviously, we'll have to maintain them also, but this is the centerpiece of the township. It's more or less in the center of the township. So, again, I'm excited about it.
And we'll get more people coming here because of that.
Yeah, yes. I mean, when Lopat Pool first opened up, it wasn't just, I think we were a township probably of about 2,500 people at that point. But, there was nothing to see 400 kids up there. Do I anticipate that happening again? No, I really don't. It's a different time. But, the pool was actually a big focal point of the survey that we put out. So it's been there a long time. It's kind of like kind of like an old friend, I guess. But anyway, gentlemen, you have anything you want to say up here at all? Lou, Bill, Jim?
Did we also, too, Mayor, what was our demolition cost if we just demolished? It was like
2.5, right?
Yeah,
About $1.8 million.
Yeah.
Yes, just to close it up.
just to take the pool out, basically. Oh,
I would just like to add what Kim had explained, how the debt is going to end in 2027. The money's already, and the mayor said money's already in the budget. So that's how we've come to no tax increase pertaining to this specific project only. Because the money is already being allocated. So it's like moving money over. It's already in the budget.
Yep.
Now, and with ratables coming in, for example, on Strikers Road, the post office warehouse, we're collecting $400,000 from that warehouse, just on one warehouse. The solar farm across the road from there, we only got $68,000. Now, warehouse is going there, so there'll be an increase in revenue as well. Now, if any more warehouses do come, and there's no guarantee, there'll be additional revenue to the township. So, of course, some people won't like warehouses and truck traffic, but there's a trade-off, like everything else. Trucks coming through our area anyway, right, from 78 or from Pennsylvania. Let's at least get something out of it. Instead of just trucks just plowing through.
Anything else?
That's all I got to say.
All right. Bill, Tim, you're good? All right, folks, you're up. Questions, comments? Now's your time. Dennis?
Hi, hello, my name is Dennis Drake, 6 Byron Drive. I have 2 questions about the pool and 1 comment about the warehouses. Anyway, I've also been the head coach for the summer swim team since 2003. So I didn't know if you thought this much ahead, but I know I noticed on the chart it said 25 meters by 25 yards in the pool. Do you know the width of the pool? Like, I was just trying to figure out like how wide the lanes would be. Okay, all right. It's not a big deal. I didn't
We
know.
have to
like-
determine
and
that,
then
Mr.
this,
Drake.
what's that?
We have to determine that. There's a schematic in the master plan. So once we get the topographic survey in, we're gonna start looking at all the site improvements and we're gonna start laying out the pool. It's one of our next tasks.
That's,
So probably in the month of June, we're gonna do that. And we're gonna come back, once we have a firm plan on the pool, we know this is an important feature and it's very important to not only people like you, but other residents that really enjoy the pool. So we're gonna make another presentation at that time.
okay, good. Yeah, because that was my second question, dealing, if you thought about the depth. Because I know what happens in some other townships, and certainly what's happening at Phillipsburg. They build a pool meant for a certain, and even at the YMCA, they'll build a pool to certain schematics, and then not use it in the way, in other words, they'll build the deep end and then not put in a diving board. Well, just to save some money and not put in a deep end then, right? So, or say we're gonna put in a diving board, but those are all types of things that maybe will draw people into the pool or draw people into the whole area. But so anyway, I didn't know if you were that level of detail yet, but I just figured I'd ask. Especially since, I know, as soon as the word gets out that, oh, look at these nice, I mean, if I post these up on like a swim team website, I'm gonna get 100 emails, people asking me, oh, all these questions about the pool. So I just, figured I'd ask before, but I'll just
Ask
tell
before
them
you
that, look,
post.
well, that's later on in the process.
Probably a meeting 60 days from now.
Right, okay, right. And then that's something else I've been telling people too. They said, hey, I heard we might be doing something at Lopat. And I said, yeah, but think 2025, 2026 earliest. So I'm already prepping people for that. And the other thing about the warehouses, I agree with you. I know a lot of people are anti-warehouse, but there's an easy way to kind of keep warehouses from where they're in one area and there's, where people live and enjoy the park in another area. And it's certainly, considering that we're right on Route 22, Route 78, right on the border between Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I mean, the biggest thing we have going for us is that transit of trucks coming through. We might as well, we're one of the few towns probably that can really take, maximize our advantage of that, and that's where we're going to get a lot of our revenue from. So I don't know why geographically we wouldn't take advantage of what we're primed to do, just geographically where we're located. So I think there's a good balance, and that means having a few warehouses. So I appreciate your thoughts on that.
Thank you.
Mr. Drake, we're gonna need your help when that time comes in for the pool, so we don't miss anything either. So we're looking forward to your help.
Right, and I'm interested in doing that.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, come on.
We'll get you next. Sorry.
So Amanda Justifine, I live at 1211 Belvedere Road. So I actually live, my house is on this map. My husband and I are the only owners that actually use St. George Alley. I'm pretty sure they refer to it as Brandon's Alley lately, the road department. So our big thing is our boys play football. They're walking across the alley at night. It's dark. There's parents whipping through there trying to pick up. I gotta go and this one that. They park in front of our garages. They block traffic. They're just whipping onto the grass, honestly, where the pickleball courts would be. That's their favorite place to whip into. But so like this year we put up a light. We put up a very large LED light. I don't even know how many lumens it is, but my husband is a problem. So he put up a light because he's like, look, it's dark out there. It's ridiculous. So on this, it doesn't really show any improvements to actually what our township already does. So the football program uses the whole bottom field between the pool and obviously the pavilion. Adding the shrubbery, that's where the parents sit and watch their kids. They sit up on that hill, they look down on their kids, it's awesome. You don't feel like you can't see your kid. It's almost like stadium seating. I wouldn't get rid of that. I wouldn't add a single tree. We actually like it that way. But my other thing is there's no parking. Nobody increased any parking spaces besides the one on the outside of the ball field. Not one extra parking space was created. With that increase of everyone wanting to go to the pool, where are they going to park? They're going to park on the alley. They're going to be parking on the entrances. We've had issues where the fire chief has to come out there and start towing cars because they are parked everywhere. Community day, they're pulling onto the grass down on the entrance. Where are they going to go? It's a huge issue. I don't think that this plan really thought about that issue and how we need to access it better. So like even I suggested, make diagonal parking spots on St. George's Alley because at least the parents would have somewhere to pull in, get out of their car, find their kid, get their kid in the car, and then move along. Without kids running across the alley going, oh, I think my mom's over there. I think my mom's over there. It's honestly been the biggest fear of mine is I stand out there and I'm like, okay, where are my kids? Because they're coming through this. It's a big issue. I mean, the bathrooms are a big issue. I've had contractors stop and use my garage as a urination place because they thought they were not being seen on camera when Nelson Trees parks their trucks up there. So, I mean, like I said, parking is an issue, lighting is an issue, and like the stadium seating. I would really like to see that field stay that way. Even if you added to it in some way on that hill, the hill has to stay. I'm telling you, like that's how we get into, that's how parents sit there, especially the flags, they end up all the way on the far end closest to the high school field. The parents sit up on the hill because they're required to be there at practice because they're kindergarten, first and second graders. They can't undo their stuff to go to the bathroom. There's injuries. So that's the only grade that has to stay. The rest of them are all drop and run. Even during the recent soccer tournaments, there's not enough parking. People are parking everywhere. So it's a huge issue up there, and I think it really needs to be considered. But thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Amanda, good idea. Courtney Torres, 37 Woodbine. When you said about the field house, is there any storage on the lower level? Because where are we going to put workmen? Where are we going to put all this stuff to like access?
Well,
Or is there another structure for it?
right now, the primary storage is on the upper level, and you're gaining access through the lift.
So are we keeping workmen and everything to drive fields at DPW? Or because we need access to that?
No, there is a storage building, number 27.
Okay, that's what I was
That's the
wondering.
maintenance building. They don't have a
Okay,
picture
so
of
they're
that,
not,
but.
okay. So
yeah.
that's gonna be
The
an
workmen and
actual,
all that heavier equipment all go in there.
okay, but then like for our sports, because I run softball right now, and I can't carry like tents and stuff upstairs
Right.
and get all my, like, and the L strings for the batting cages, are they gonna stay or?
Well, we did, in the floor plans that were passed out,
Uh-huh.
there's also what's called a mezzanine lift that'll allow you to get it up without having to walk upstairs.
Okay,
So,
It'll be like an elevator for your equipment.
yeah, okay.
so, and it certainly is something given community feedback. Keep in mind that these plans really are fairly preliminary.
Right,
Really, it's
gotcha.
just kind of get an overall idea.
Right.
Getting this critical feedback from the sports teams that utilize these facilities, all of the end users that are using this park on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's what I want.
That will all help to inform and allow us to better plan out the facility.
Yeah, it's just nice to just be able to pull up, grab your stuff and go, maybe without having to get up the stairs or a lift, because then who has access to that? Are we all gonna have access to the elevator? Like, that kind of stuff, it gets a little hairy.
The intent was to actually have the access from the exterior, so you're not walking through the building in order to
Okay.
get it. So it's a pair of double, it's actually an overhead door that allows you full access
Okay.
into that space, and then you would have the access to the lift from that point.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, the other thing is this is a little bit off the subject, it's in the back of our minds, we've discussed it briefly.
Yeah.
The emergency squad building, as you know, we no longer have an
Right.
emergency squad. That building actually evolved out of the Delaware Park Firehouse years ago. That land was donated. I'd be interested as mayor and council to buy that building because there are garages underneath. There's a garage to the side there, would be plenty of storage. Obviously, it's right now next to our park. So it's kind of where we're heading with that, so.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just thinking like
Yep.
logistically because there's also the shed structures near the quads.
Yeah.
And they're all still going to stay. Nothing's going to
Well,
go away in a sense, because
yeah.
we'll need storage up there too for,
I don't like sheds. I'd rather see something permanent. but-
I would, that's fine.
Yeah.
We just need access. Being in season right now, and like, my wheels are turning about all the stuff we
Yeah.
need. And the lights, are there any lights at all, like for football? I mean, I know, like, but is there gonna be any?
Maybe down the road.
Okay,
The study didn't talk about any sports lighting for the fields.
okay,
But it does talk about upgrading the various parking areas and the thoroughfares in the complex.
yeah, okay. And then even the, spot around where the big concrete area is going to be, that looks very large. And I know we like to have cheer practice and the sight line from the pavilion down to the juniors field, which is the big main field right here. Are there gonna be a lot of trees or any other extra trees put up? Because we all sit
That's
there.
something we'll still look at, obviously, if there's line of sight, and that's
Right.
one of the reasons why we're having these meetings,
Yeah.
to get that feedback, so.
Yeah, because a lot of kids, like, as everyone plays, they're hanging out around there, and concrete is nice, but,
Well, around the playground surface is actually going to be a rubberized surface, so there'll be.
sure, but just having a lot of grass is nice to have people sitting on blankets, like, just around that junior field area where there's a lot of trees now.
Actually, the master plan, next to the pavilion building and the open pavilion, it's improvement 11, there's a tree grove that's actually shown on the
Saw
plan.
that.
So,
Yeah, I didn't know.
just to get some shade and
Okay.
improve the aesthetics of that area.
And, I mean, the other intent behind the open air pavilion is also to give you the flexibility, so if there was ever an opportunity to have like a food truck event there,
Sure.
so there's
Yeah.
that flexibility.
Yep, I just didn't want to see anything,
Of course.
yeah, like, so we can sit in that pavilion and then watch the game, so there's some cover, that would be nice too.
Ultimately, I think once we get into the schematic phase, we're going to want to go out and reach out to
Yeah.
all the people that have direct opinion about this particular business, utilize it on a regular basis, get their feedback. And
Yeah,
incorporate their thoughts into the program.
yeah, definitely, just a lot of nice room for, kids to play.
Courtney, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Lauren? Oh, you got a lady in the back, sir. Sorry. She got her hand up quicker than you.
Hello, Lauren Porcelli, 104 Powderhorn Drive. I have a question, the parking, that, she's right, there's no parking, and it doesn't look like you made any changes to the parking. My concern is what the perimeter road that used to go up the hill behind the football field, is that still a road? Because it says on here 16 pedestrian boulevard. So is this now not a road anymore, going up the hill behind the pool and up towards the field house? Is that still a road
The
or
master
no?
plan is proposing that road be converted to a pedestrian path.
Okay, it's a pedestrian path, but up in the corner you have a roundabout, which I don't understand.
It will be wide enough for maintenance vehicles, and that will be their turnaround to get back out to the parking area.
And doesn't the high school have to use that as an exit? Isn't that one of their main exits in case there's an emergency, they can't get out the other way?
There's an emergency ingress egress at that location.
So
yes.
this pedestrian boulevard, what is that constructed of? Is that going to be macadam?
It hasn't been designed yet. It's really schematic in nature. It's really part of the master.
So cars won't be going from the pool parking lot
To the field house?
to the field house?
No.
And then how are trucks going to deliver things to the field house if it has a concession stand?
There's gonna,
Yeah, that
that road is wide
is
enough.
Oh,
wide enough to.
I know, but you're
to allow
saying
for
it's
that.
a pedestrian boulevard and you don't think it's macadam, so what is it going to
Well,
be?
they would have to go through the other parking lot, correct? And then,
But that
to the
says,
left,
that
right
also says pedestrian boulevard and it's got the gravel look on it, number
They
16.
were originally going to be roadways to go up and use the roundabout to drop off, goods, handicap people, and then to come back down again. And I'm sure it's going to be a macadam road. It's going to be strong enough
It's
to
gonna have a
handle a
durable
vehicle.
surface because it's gonna have to sustain vehicles.
But there's not going to be regular people that will drive up there.
That's not the,
No.
the intent
Because
is.
now you can drive up, you can drive all
Intent is
around.
not
The intent is not
That's the driving school's practice route.
Yeah.
They go out there and they take the kids around that, so Lopatcong Park is the driving
Well,
school
it's
place.
the parallel parking. They leave their
Not
cones
known
up.
to us.
Yeah, I know.
They leave their cones up all
They
the
were out there
time.
this afternoon. They had a driver out there learning to drive.
They do it up at the high school too.
Yeah, well, any big parking lot, they go down
Yeah.
to Pohack School too.
Yeah.
So.
It's a great.
All right, so,
And I think there was additional discussion about additional parking where we could. We did talk about
Yeah,
that.
there's opportunities for more parking. A couple of things here. The current pool parking lot is not very efficient the way it's laid out, so
No.
that's going to be looked at. If you look at, I guess, the northerly edge of pavement adjacent to the pool building, it's curved in nature.
yes,
And maybe we can take a look at, after we get the topographic survey, to maybe adjusting that or maybe moving that edge north to try to get some more parking. And I'm glad that yourself and Amanda brought this to our attention tonight, that perceived there's not enough parking.
well, the parking's huge. I mean, my son played football and parking, you had to be everywhere. You were parked everywhere, and that was before we even had the parking on this other side. And the pool, I've been at the pool where people are pulling on other people's grass because it's packed. And then when they have those events, when they have those invitationals,
The Invitational was always a disaster for parking. So.
you know, and then Community Day, you really need to address the
Well organized disaster.
It was a well-organized disaster.
Not as a pool patron.
But a disaster nonetheless.
Not as a pool patron. When it was a pool patron, it was not well organized disaster. It was just a
Even
disaster.
for weddings and stuff, you're gonna have to
Right.
think about bringing 100 people in.
Yeah.
When, just for example, there was, during COVID, a church used the park up near the rally point. There were cars everywhere, and they maybe had 200 people there, and it was a disaster. We were like, we have never seen it that bad.
That should have only been a couple weeks. That was the church in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they were terrible.
We took care of
Terrible. They were playing music every Sunday morning. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
There was like 6 cars parked in my yard,
Yeah.
in my garages. And don't forget, people are really lazy too. So people don't want to park in the pool parking lot.
Right,
And then
and walk to the
Yeah,
football
or soccer
field.
field.
Yep.
Yeah, we are a lazy society full of, we don't want to, closest parking to every field.
But you have music in the park too that draws a tremendous amount of cars.
Does.
Tremendous amount of cars. I go to that and it's packed.
Is there an
So,
opportunity for common parking areas outside that you could use as circulator? So you would be like a dedicated vehicle that allows to pull from other adjacent parking lots so that you better utilize a majority of your surface area parking lots in your community?
have you seen this property? It's not near anything but residential. There's no, it's not like we have there's no warehouses next door. This is all fields and hills. There's no, you can't pull from anywhere. Well, the high school, but even that's too far away. from
Honestly,
parking.
I would really think about bringing this second parking lot behind the ball field and going up and around on Rose Lane of some sort. Provide that to the softball players and get into that concession stand area. You could definitely park, you know, in along the driveways, you're going to have to create parking.
There's a problem with Rose Lane. That's actually a private
It is
road.
private, but
Yeah, one of the, just so everybody's aware, we actually had a plan to develop parking in that area and build a sidewalk to go out and connect with Red School Lane. And there was gonna be drainage built as part of that, and we could not get easements from 2 property owners. So we actually have a full set of plans showing all those improvements. But until we can get those easements from the two property owners along Belvedere Road, we wouldn't be able to proceed with that.
have you thought about opening up St. George's Alley the other way behind the squad building?
Yeah, there are improvements shown on this, oh, you're talking about behind the squad building now?
Yeah, if you go the
We have a
opposite
landscape
way.
buffer from the original park construction in that area.
You're talking about taking it down towards Rose
Yeah,
Lane?
why can't you go that way? That way has it's a sloped hill there, but you could bring in at least more people and attach it to this outside parking lot.
And between the squad building and the basketball courts.
Right now it's just a tree buffer, but there is some flat land in there to provide a nice parking area, at least a one-way, if anything. I'm also not gonna lie to you. The high school, I know, is developing plans in order to find a meeting point for parents in the event of an emergency. I talked to Director Riley about it up at Deputy Director at 911. I work in 911. They need a meeting point for parents to get out of the high school. Because we've had issues and all the parents want to go up the hill. And that's the last thing they wanted. So They're developing a plan, I'm not saying where, but Lopat Park is going to be the place. It's kind of obvious, it's close enough, it's within walking distance, but it's gonna be a place where 500 parents are gonna show up. So we probably should be prepared, especially for the long haul, the way, the society we live in.
Yeah, I had to walk up to that day, that's why.
Yeah.
Because I was walking on the park already.
Everyone walked.
To Brandon's
It was
point,
scary.
I've driven this point home several times to the point of almost nauseism, but just remember this. We've become a victim of our own insatiable need for convenience. These warehouses that everybody doesn't want, it's because all of us in this room, I'd be willing to bet, have ordered something online. Because we don't want to go to the store. We want
At
to
least
drop it off
once.
on our porch.
At least once.
Guess where it comes from? A warehouse. So everybody wants this convenience, just not in their backyard. So whether you're for or against, it's the same thing with picking up kids. Again, having worked for the school district, it's amazing the lack of patience that people have for things. And again, with the incident that I'm sure you're referring to a couple weeks ago, there were 600 kids that left. 600. And even though I'm not working there anymore, I still have people that I talk to, but, again, it's scary, you know? I mean, you can go off on a whole tangent with guns and all the other stuff, but
Yeah, but Lopat
it's just
Park is
scary.
right below it.
Yeah,
It's got
and
walking
Lopat
distance,
Park, let's
and
face
kids
it.
could essentially walk out from a fire drill.
Yeah, I would not want to see a kid lose their life though, because we said no to that being an emergency
Well,
thing.
we can't.
Well, you wouldn't say no.
You wouldn't say
No, we wouldn't say that.
We'd welcome.
You're not
them,
gonna say no. It's open space and it's available,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, you can walk down and use it on the way.
Yeah, the kids, they have their little,
Backup drop off.
Well, the
They have their
Highlands
paths
Trail,
cut.
they can walk from the high school down that Highlands Trail.
Which they do, because
Yeah.
we're taking my daughter.
Yeah,
out.
so-
It's at the field house now, so hopefully
Yeah.
it becomes something convenient.
The other question I have is on these loop trail connections, which is nice to see more trail. But on Belvedere Road, we put in a macadam trail that was supposed to be part of a connector somewhere else, and the maintenance on that has gone to hell in a handbasket. I walk on there and it's like dodging weeds and cracks, and I was wondering, what is the maintenance on that? Is that a township maintenance?
County,
well, no.
It's our trail.
You're talking about right off of
On
Belvedere
Belvedere
Road?
Road, they,
Just after you
we
come
put
around the
that
corner?
macadam behind Country Hills, and then it runs all the
Oh.
way down. It's big.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
the
I see what
wide
you
ma-
said, yes.
That's supposed to be one of our connectors for the
Yes.
biking and walk, and I walk on that, and it's awful.
I
It
thought the
is
county
awful.
installed that.
No, we didn't.
No,
We did.
that was part of the
That
development.
was years ago. We
Yeah.
did.
The question is that when the county allowed all that construction, did they have, or did they require the township to enter into an agreement to maintain that area? We'd have to find that out.
Is there any way you can even spray for the weeds? I mean, it's like ridiculous to walk.
Yeah.
There's cracks, the cracks aren't that bad, but it's the weeds that are growing through, and those houses, that's their backyard, they put up fences, they don't come out to that other side, because it's the back of their property, it's not even really their.
Some of them don't even cut it.
Yeah, some of them don't even cut it.
Yeah.
Some of them have gates to come out, and they do cut it. Some of them they actually cut the macadam, that's how bad the weeds are.
Okay.
So that's just my other question, but thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All the way back.
I'll be quick.
All right.
Bill Morris, 301 North Prospect. First, I'll say, putting parking and other issues aside, it looks like a beautiful facility. Just real quick, get back to the financials. You say you don't anticipate this having any effect on the township tax rate?
No.
Just on that specific project only.
Okay, I'll just say, I'm a natural born skeptic, so.
Well, and to your point, don't forget, we can build the park, and we have to maintain it.
Right.
So there would be.
If revenue doesn't meet expectations or borrowing costs end up
Exactly.
higher.
But to build the actual park, no tax increase.
Okay. Actually, my main question is, why wouldn't a project of this magnitude be put out for a voter approval?
I guess that's why you hire us, more or less, to do these kind of things and to have public input. Initially, I was gonna put a referendum out for the pool, but I didn't think that was fair, because, listen, we've got Delaware Crossings has their own pool. Overlook has their own pool. Autumn Ridge has two pools. What am I missing? Warren Heights. they've got a pool. So, again, how many, would you go to Lopat Pool if you had a pool within your own complex that you probably pay a hell of a fee for? So these are all the things that go in. And let's face it, the pool, am I going to use the pool? Probably not. I'm 65. I don't think anybody wants to see me in a bathing suit at this point, so.
Not a speaker, at least.
Yeah. So, I mean, who knows? Could it be used for other things, parties and whatnot? Yes. But again, when that pool opened up in 1967, I was 9 years old. A lot of moms were home. They would do whatever they needed to do around the house, take the kids to the pool in the afternoon.
Right.
It's just not the way it is anymore. Not only that, but a lot of people have built their own pools. So, yeah.
Do you have any idea what the cost is going to be for a pool membership?
No, at this point, no. No.
And another thing, we had those open meetings. How many we had, Paul, 3?
There were 3. I never saw anything about those meetings.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but.
Well, we advertised it up, we sent it to the schools, we sent it all everywhere, and we had an overwhelming response to redo the pool. It's gonna cost us $2 million just to make it grass.
Yeah.
So at that point, we said,
And we did look into fixing what's there. One of the things I didn't want to do was go out for all this money and then give you the same thing you had. That pool, as I said, was opened up in May of '67 and obviously served us for a good 50 years. It's just to a point now where it's, concrete, believe it or not, does deteriorate, and there are seams in that, and there's piping and all that other stuff. We have had it repaired, but I think at one point, Joe, do you remember, what were we losing up there a day?
I don't remember gallons.
For some reason, I want to say 10,000, which sounds like a lot.
Jim, I think it was like 8 or 10,000.
Yeah, there you go. So, so therefore the pool was never warm because we really hadn't worked to it. So it's just, we did spend some money back in the early 2000s, I think, to put a new deck around that pool. But other than that, it's really had no major work done to it since it was put in. So,
Okay, thank you.
all right, thank you. We had a lady in the back first. Hold on.
Hello, my name is Kate DeMasi, 254 Lowe's Hollow Road. I just want to say, so I love our park. My kids, I'm a soccer mom. I feel our park is beautiful and it does need some upgrades, but I feel like we're cramming a lot. And one of my concerns is who's going to maintain all these buildings? There's so many of them. My other concern is with sports, I know we wanted to bring in revenue. We have the kitchens in some of the buildings. But with the parking the way it is and with the way football is, soccer is, baseball is, where is everybody going? There's so much that we're trying to do in one location that I think it might ultimately bite us in the end. There's for the soccer fields, for any of the little kids to the older kids, there's no benches for them to sit. They're in the grass. Sometimes it's hard for us, especially for the littler kids, to get up that deep field. There's just a lot of building. I don't understand why we need so many of these pavilions.
Okay.
We have bathrooms there that are never open now. Who's going to open them when they go up? Are they going to be open to the public?
Well, this would be part of no cost to the taxpayers, but if we start doing stuff like that, which you should, have your bathrooms open, then you're going to have to pay somebody to clean them.
Right, I understand that, but we have bathrooms now and they're never opened. If it wasn't for the porta potties, we would have nowhere to go. I don't understand why we're adding all of this if we don't even utilize what we have now.
What bathrooms are you referring to? The ones in the current
Yeah.
pavilion?
Yeah. And at the field house, they're never open.
We've had some vandalism up there.
But, okay, so if there was vandalism there, what's going to stop vandalism in the others?
Probably nothing,
So, but what I'm asking you is why are we putting all this in? Are we going to be able to use it this time?
That's the idea, is that there will be open to the outside, like the pavilion. You say, the only way to get to it is you have to go into the pavilion to use the bathroom. Hence the vandalism, nobody's there to watch, but there's going to be openings on the outside so that the public can use these facilities at any time.
So then they're just going to be opened all day?
Yeah. and probably closed at night to prevent vandalism, but.
And then, like, with the kitchens that you have in some of these pavilions, are they for like the rent out for like revenue to come in?
Yes.
And then who's gonna maintain those buildings?
Well, we have a plan in place for all of that. You know, a recreation director, a maintenance person will have to, you know, be hired to handle all of that. They'll be bringing in all kinds of programs. If you look around at some of the other facilities and, you know, from our neighboring communities, Forks Township runs, you know, continuous programs. We did whatever we could when we were running the pool, you know, we ran the camp, we had Aqua Zumba,
Yes.
we had the swim team, we had multiple programs. So that's what we expect to do at all these facilities, even like the field house. We expect maybe to have the camp hosted out of there. There's a concession with an outdoor patio, you know, for small parties, like you want to have a birthday party for your kid and you know, you don't want to have it at home, but you can't afford this facility, maybe this one would work for you. You know, and we'd be able to earn, make revenue off of all of this.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Robin? Yes, we're gonna plant trees.
I wasn't going to ask.
Okay.
Robin George, 34 Raleigh Court. Actually, what I was going to say is thank you, Colliers, for bringing handouts for us. Really appreciate that. They're beautiful. I'm super excited about the park. I probably also won't go there very often, but I'm really excited to see it for the community because it raises the property values of our houses. Having an investment like this, something that draws in new residents that want to move into the community. From a financial perspective, I think that there's probably an awful lot of bonds or grants available that we can probably apply for along the way also, right, Paul? I mean, there's always a grant opportunity for something out there. Is that, I assume that's part of our plan, is to keep an eye out for grants that are available to us to help offset the cost to the township, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to point that out, that there's usually a grant that, and right now, there's lots of money available with the economic stimulus packages that are available, and maybe we can get some of that.
Part of the reason why we did an open space tax years ago. So,
Exactly.
Yep.
But thank you.
all right, thank
Great
you.
presentation.
John?
I'm gonna get up tonight, but I just want to ask a question from my own person. How are the commercial ratables doing, bringing in taxes, and how are the projections out to increase commercial ratables and taxes coming in from the commercial ratables? Or will this hit the residential commercial ratables?
You talking about the park?
The park, yeah, the 15 million.
Well, with everything going on, everything out in the community now,
Yes,
with the warehouses and Peaburg Mall,
yes.
revenue-wise, it would be
It's-
advantageous,
okay,
yes,
now-
yes, yes.
Now, if those work out, and they should work out,
Mm-hmm.
then it'll keep the tax rate, so that it's not gonna, it will
Impact, yes.
impact the commercial residential properties. I mean, you know, like apartment complexes.
Yes,
and
yes.
Condos and that kind of thing.
Yes,
It will most likely not impact them drastically.
correct.
Okay.
Actually, it's probably bring more
I
people
understand
into
that, I understand that bringing more revenue, but I know that the economy is not that great and things aren't really moving. And if it crashes to some extent, everything would crash, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna increase your home values too.
Yeah, so the home values
And
will
draw
increase,
people
then the
into-
2% of the home value will be more than the apartment complexes. You know, you got them, you got Brakely Gardens, you got,
The way the government's going right now, I don't think they're worried about our 15 million, I love that.
yeah, well, I understand that. So, that's all.
All right, thanks, John.
We've still got fixed income people, you know? Okay,
I'll be one of them within the next year.
yeah. there you go. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else, questions, comments? Hearing and seeing none? Need a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Folks, thanks for coming out, appreciate it.